No local news organization stands up for you like Channel 2 News. Because we care about Western New York. It's our home. It's why we dig deeper.
$400,000.
Is the town dragging its feet here?
Produce bold investigations that break the mold.
Almost $4,200.
Wow.
Expose the truth.
It never found my actual location.
And make a difference.
And our next step is to take them back to New York.
Because that's what being on your side is all about. We are Channel 2 News.
We do have some breaking news to report. After 5 very long days of searching, Buffalo police have found the body of 9-year veteran Officer Craig Lehner.
This afternoon, about 1:25 p.m., Officer Lehner's body was recovered near Strawberry Island by Buffalo Police URT divers.
It's a battle between a sense of relief and now, as I said, the time for emotions is now.
This is a very painful loss for the Lehner family, the Buffalo Police Department, and our Buffalo community.
We continue our coverage at 6 o'clock of the breaking news involving the search for Buffalo Police Officer Craig Lehner.
Perhaps a sense of relief now with closure for the men and women of the Buffalo Police Department and obviously for the Lehner family.
There are just hundreds, if not thousands, of officers lined up over here, all wearing different uniforms from all different parts of across New York, Western New York, and beyond.
It takes your breath away, doesn't it? Seeing it, that sea of law enforcement walking in unison.
You understood that he wasn't just working a job. He was using his life to try and impact the world and leave it a better place in his wake.
We're seeing the officers now assemble after the really beautiful service.
An amazing amount of people who showed up within the past couple of minutes.
So now you can see members of the Buffalo Police Department embracing each other at the conclusion of the ceremony here inside Forest Lawn.
We thank you for joining us for today's funeral services on Channel 2.
When severe weather hit on Thursday afternoon, 2 on Your Side was there for you. There for you on television, on your laptop, on your smartphone, and on social media. Alerting, informing, sharing, engaging.
The damage is unbelievable.
This may have been a tornado touchdown.
The storm was so strong it even lifted a car off the ground.
There's trees through the house.
Wow.
Orchard Park Police are now saying to everyone no travel in the entire town of Orchard Park.
Cars with blown out windows.
Viewer videos from the South Towns telling the story tonight. A trail of downed trees, torn up yards, and in the middle of it, a parking lot at the Hamburg Fairgrounds that looked like a bomb went off.
This storm just came and did damage that no one would ever expect.
We have team coverage tonight from around Western New York with reporters across the South Towns, the Southern Tier, and Storm Team 2 here in the studio.
Well, I can tell you one thing, that a tornado in Western New York is rare. And now we are talking about 3 tornadoes in the same day. We haven't had that, folks, since late May 31st, 1985.
We have 3 reports right now, beginning in Hamburg, EF2 and EF1.
Some of the great pictures and video that you've been sending in throughout the day. So thank you for helping us tell the story of the storm. And whenever severe weather hits, as long as it's safe, share your pictures using the hashtag #BeOn2.
It has been a history-making day here in Buffalo.
40 men rushed the ice here at Harbor Center, physically exhausted but emotionally energized. They just beat the world record for longest hockey game ever played. Plus, they raised more than $1.2 million for cancer research.
I lost my mom to cancer.
Everybody just kind of like pulled for each other.
Good morning, everybody. Erin Deer is hoping to break a world record when she pulls off this magnificent stunt later this morning. She'll be dangling in the air above Niagara Falls,
Hanging from a helicopter. It hurts to say this. Dangling by her teeth.
Does fear ever set in?
No, fear can't set in.
And there it is, Erin Deer Walinda hanging from a helicopter 300 feet over Niagara Falls using only that mouth guard.
Here are close-up views of her performing. She dangled, she weaved, she put on a show for over 10 minutes.
These incredible close-up views of Arundhara Walinda's performance, including the moment when she used only the strength of her jaws to hang hands-free over the rushing water below. It went so well, she thought, why not try it again?
Tonight, we are on your side, holding officials in Niagara Falls accountable. They were supposed to clean up this illegal dumping site by yesterday. Spoiler alert, it's still a mess.
Two on Your Side is the station that holds people in power accountable.
The governor's aides informed us he would not take any questions, but paying them no mind, we asked one anyway.
My question to you is there any chance or any way that the state could or should help with some additional financial aid for the falls?
Why not just do it?
Why not find someone else to run the shelter?
Two on Your Side is the station that holds people in power accountable.
Shouldn't we have hearings? Shouldn't the public be able to see this bill?
All right, well, that's a fair and a good question.
Why stonewall them on this?
We are the station that holds people in power accountable.
Under your watch that this happens all the time.
And when it's reported, we investigate.
You allow 500 million gallons to go into Lower Niagara.
We don't even have that amount verified. That's what we're going to investigate.
Data.
First off, I want to thank you and Channel 2 for bringing it to our attention. It's something that I wanted to look into immediately once it was brought to our attention.
As many expatriates return home for the holidays, we want them to see Buffalo, and Western New York is, in fact, very much so on the rise.
And what better way to do that than with your help? Now, this week, we asked our Facebook followers to rank the 22 best things in Western New York.
Now, we will admit that there will likely be items that are left off this list that you feel maybe should be on the list.
Now, this isn't scientific, but it is a great way to celebrate Western New York and remind those who left why they should seriously consider returning. And Two on Your Side's Michael Wooten gets things started.
We asked you, what are the best things in Western New York? The votes are in, and here's the countdown. At 22, art festivals. From Allentown to Elmwood and many smaller ones in between, they're can't-miss events year in and year out. Number 21, the Albright Knox Art Gallery. This world-class museum showcases hundreds of works of art at any given moment, leaving thousands in storage. That's why the gallery is about to undergo a massive expansion worth more than $150 million.
At 20, Dingus Day. Dzień dobry, I'm your Polish meteorologist. Thousands of Western New Yorkers celebrate this traditional Polish day of fun with amazing food, lots of polka, pussy willows, and some water guns.
Coming in at 19, our concert venues. You have the KeyBank Center, and there are other places big and small, including the Bills Stadium, where concerts have returned to, allowing some of the biggest artists in the world to perform here.
Number 18, Ellicottville. Just 50 miles south of Buffalo, the Southern Tier Getaway is known for its winter skiing, but we all know it's a Four Seasons destination. 17th place goes to wineries. Cheers to Western New York's grape country. We have dozens of wineries stretching from the Niagara Trail to the southern shores of Lake Erie. At number 16, craft beer. One brewery after another has opened in Western New York. Hamburg Brewing, Big Ditch, Flying Bison, just a few of more than 24 breweries now open in the Buffalo area. In 15th place, the Elmwood Village. It's been named one of America's 10 best neighborhoods. The perfect mix of retail and residential. No wonder homes for sale in the village don't last long. Elmwood just one vote behind the 14th best thing in Western New York, the village of East Aurora. It's the birthplace of Fisher Price and long ago was home to future President Millard Fillmore. East Aurora is now rated the third best place in the state for raising a family.
At number 13, easy access to Canada. Yeah, it's right there, a whole different country. In a couple hours drive, we can get to Toronto, the fourth largest city in North America.
Coming in 12th, Niagara Falls State Park. And
Where do you even begin? Well, for one thing, it is the oldest state park in the entire nation. It showcases a wonder of the world. The Today Show said it's the 10th most beautiful spot in America. Oh, and it helps bring 8 million tourists a year to see the falls.
And 11th in our poll, the Buffalo Zoo. It's the third oldest zoo in the entire country, and almost 500,000 people visit every year. In 10th place, Buffalo's Outer Harbor. What a difference from an industrial wasteland to a big tourist attraction. It's even complete with a state park that opened a few years ago.
Coming in at number 9, Shea's Performing Arts Center. Whether it's touring Broadway musicals, comedy shows, or concerts, this 4,000-seat theater is a jewel in the crown of the Queen City.
Number 8 on our list is Western New York's history, like our connections to past presidents, such as Grover Cleveland, our 13th president, Millard Fillmore, and Teddy Roosevelt was inaugurated right here on Delaware Avenue. Buffalo also served as the terminus of the Erie Canal and the Underground Railroad, and how cool is this? We even invented the air conditioner.
Number 7, our architecture. Famous buildings are everywhere, from the Frank Lloyd Wright masterpieces to Louis Sullivan's Guarantee Building and H.H. Richardson's complex. In July, USA Today profiled how Buffalo is building on its architecture tourism. Closely behind at number 6, food festivals. They're usually in the summer, but keep our taste buds going all year long. The Taste of Buffalo, by the way, is the largest two-day food festival in the USA.
At number 5, our professional sports teams. I know they're not doing so well at the moment, but millions of people around the world associate Buffalo with the Bills and the Sabres.
Well, coming in at number 4, Four Seasons. No, I'm not talking about the music group. I'm talking about our weather, just like you do. A lot of people said, hey, I love the fact that you have 4 seasons, summer and spring and fall and winter. You know the old saying here in Buffalo, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute, it'll change. I kind of like it too.
Cracking the top 3, people love that we are the city of good neighbors. We help strangers during snowstorms, keep food pantries full for the holidays, and lift up those in need. No wonder Travel and Leisure magazine named Buffalo America's friendliest city.
A close second is the food scene. Of course, everyone knows Buffalo's the birthplace of the chicken wing, but there are delicious delicacies in every neighborhood. The New York Times even called Buffalo an unsung food destination.
And that brings us to number 1, Canal Side. This has really become the go-to spot to bring out-of-towners when they're visiting Buffalo. Canal Side now hosts more than 1,000 events each year, from concerts to car shows, yoga to fireworks. We've hosted the world's largest rubber ducky. Now that it's winter time, we have the ice skating rink here and all the holiday festivities. This area has grown so much, and it's exciting to think about what's next here and really for our entire region. Counting down the 22 best things about Western New York, I'm Michael Wooten, Channel 2 News.
And if the last 30 minutes doesn't make you feel good about your hometown, I don't know what will. There is so much that is happening in Western New York and in the city of Buffalo. We should all be proud to be living here.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoyed it too.
Tonight, first at 5, dangerous winds. From toppled semis to wind-whipped flames that forced kids out of their school.
We put our emergency plan in place and evacuated students.
To a freight train knocked off its tracks. The gusts are causing chaos across Western New York.
And the highest wind gusts so far have been over Niagara Falls, near 70 miles an hour.
And a rare phenomenon on Lake Erie.
Live team coverage on just how high the gusts have gone, the damage being seen, and the wind-whipped lake.
Yeah, I'm glad that these kinds of storms are few and far between.
Huge waves that are definitely battling the shoreline.
7 flights were sent to other airports.
They do have at this time about 3,000 personnel out in the field tending to situations like this one here in Lockport.
Photojournalist Bob Mancuso and I could use sandbags to kind of weigh us down out here.
Dano says he followed all of the FAA's rules when he flew his drone here near the stadium. He was not in any restricted airspace. He kept the drone in his line of sight. He did not fly above 400 feet, and he did not fly directly over any people.
We'll start with Lake Erie. Normally, the lake won't freeze over until February.
But that winter, it was frozen by December 14th because November and December were bitterly cold. Leading up to the storm, the temperature hadn't risen above freezing for 34 straight days. And from the time the lake froze until the blizzard, we got 93.5 inches of snow. Aldi, BJ's, and a soon-to-be Whole Foods, all within about a half-mile radius of one another, and they are all competing to fill your fridge.
This will be the first total solar eclipse to move from the Pacific all the way over to the Atlantic in almost 100 years. 11 states will undergo 1 to 3 minutes of darkness, but you have to be along that center line to experience the full total solar eclipse.
No doubt it was quite a sight.
It was amazing. It was very cool.
The total solar eclipse of 2017 is in the books, and it wowed the crowds from coast to coast.
The eclipse was spectacular.
Here in Buffalo, we did not hit totality, but you could see and feel the difference.
It was super hot before, but now it's cold.
Ahead, we'll look back at this rare phenomenon and look ahead to 2024, when Western New York becomes the epicenter of the next total solar eclipse.
Right here in Buffalo, so I got it on my calendar.
Live team coverage starts now on Channel 2 News at 6.
It is the event that people across the country are talking about tonight, the country's first total solar eclipse in nearly 100 years. Our crews are all over Western New York tonight with what you may have missed today and a look ahead to the next eclipse in 2024.
The playoff drought is over. I still can't believe it. I'm still processing the process, if you will. But yeah, the Bills are playoff bound. At long last, Bills Mafia will see a playoff game.
I didn't expect this to happen. 4 months ago, the Bills traded a bunch of star players. They look like a team destined for a second draft pick, not the second wild card.
We've got double reasons to celebrate tonight. I gotta admit, I was a little annoyed at first that I had to work New Year's Eve, but I gotta tell you, it's turned into one of the best days I have ever worked here at Channel 2.
Sharpie it in. Let's go! I almost want to cry, honestly.
It's an understatement that people are excited tonight about the Bills making the playoffs. Here are some of your best reactions from the night. Obviously, some happy faces there, dancing, smiling. The Bills also tweeting the Cincinnati Bagels. We heard this earlier from Heather, that they're sending them some chicken wings, of course, for doing their part. I hope they like blue cheese as well.
Did you know this Sunday is Buffalo Day?
Yeah, it's July 16th, 7-1-6. Get it?
Did you know that Sunday is Buffalo Day?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes, I did.
How'd you know that?
I just lied. I don't know.
Oh, you and I gonna get along great.
All right, a brand new segment. I love that new segment smell. It's called What's the Deal with Kevin O'Neill? And even though my name's in it, it's not about me. As with just about everything I do, it's about you. Finish this sentence.
You'll find me on the boat.
Can I hang out on your boat?
Sure, absolutely. Not today, though.
Okay, that's fine. I'll get your number off the air. Then what's your favorite way to stay warm in the winter?
Go to Jacksonville this weekend.
Yes!
Yeah. Throw one of these bad boys.
Oh, look at that!
A chocolate cappuccino coffee.
Oh, there you go, the warm drinks.
A fire, a real fire at home.
A real fire at home?
Yes.
Hopefully in a fireplace.
Yes, in a fireplace.
Snuggling up on the couch with a movie.
Do you have a favorite toy growing up?
A toy you cherished the most as a child. We're phoning a friend.
This year, the Tree of Hope is going to be lit by 7-year-old Michaela Gray from Cheektowaga. Back in September, she rang the Roswell Park Victory Bell after her final round of chemotherapy.
After 2 clean MRIs, Michaela is now considered cancer-free.
We're joining you now live from Roswell Park Cancer Institute in Buffalo for one of the most beautiful and meaningful events of the season.
It is a powerful evening to be there, Adam.
We're here in the Roswell campus where the rain has let up, thankfully.
I love living in my town, everywhere I go. It's the city of good neighbors. Yeah, this is Buffalo. This is home, no matter where I go. This is home, yeah, proud to be Buffalo. On the go, watch us grow. Now you know, there's no stopping Buffalo. Yeah, yeah, this is home.
There's more to life than sports, but life is better with sports in it.
Nobody that was in the building that day will forget about that.
Alec Tambury is a junior at Lancaster High School. He's a three-sport athlete, and he never met a shot he didn't like.
Coach Otto tweeted at the beginning of the year that this team was so closely knit, more than anything he's ever seen before. He's completely right.
It's a family, and we're an extension of his family, and he knows that, and I think he thrives on that.
When people say sports are just games.
Nowhere close. I don't even want to imagine where I'd be without sports.
Growing up, Alec's #1 fan was his mom, Amy.
She would understand jokes that I'd say that usually only my friends would understand, and she'd fire them right back at me.
Mother's Day 2014. Amy was at the mall with her parents when suddenly she had a seizure. They went to the hospital, but the doctors didn't know what was wrong. A week later, the test came back. Amy had a brain tumor. Cancer. With his father out of the picture, Alec's grandparents moved from West Virginia to live with him and his mother.
Yeah, it's nothing they had to do. They're just the best people in the world.
You have any brothers?
Only child.
No brothers, sisters? Who do you turn to in moments like these?
My grandparents, my Uncle Brian. They've all been there for me just immensely.
For the next 2.5 years, Alec was by his mother's side.
She was my best friend. And my grandparents knew that. She meant the world to me, and I meant the world to her.
New Year's Day 2017. Amy Tambury passed away. She was 48.
What are the moments you miss the most?
Just spending time with her. We would go out and just drive around. Just being with her. Every night before I went to bed, come in her room, spend time with her. And still, before I go to bed now, I go in her room and kiss the pillow where she laid and tell her I love her. I have a voicemail on my phone from about a year ago, and make sure I listen to that as the last person out of the locker room before every game.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it. Unfortunately, Grandma and Papa should be there. I love you. Bye-bye.
Tuesday, January 3rd. Lancaster against Orchard Park. Alec's first game since his mother's death.
In my head, trying to tell myself that this game's no different than anything else.
It was just crazy. I've never, it's probably the loudest I've ever heard this gym.
Play like you normally would. Nothing's different. She's still seeing everything that happened. She's still with me.
With his mom watching from above, Alec Tambury scored a career-high 17 points.
And made sure that after every basket, I just pointed up and made sure I let her know it was for her.
Lancaster won by 16. Then with 10 seconds left in the game, Coach John Otto took Alec out to a standing ovation.
The ovation he got when he came off the court, I get emotional thinking about it. It's something that will stay with me forever.
Kyle was coming towards me and just fell into his arms.
He left it all out on the court, and he did it for his mom, and his mom was watching him the whole time.
That game will forever probably be the most important game to me that I'll ever play.
There's more to life than sports.
There's no way I could ever live up to the person that she was, but as close as I can come to it is exactly how I want to live my life.
But life is better with sports in it.
Sex trafficking is a growing problem across the United States and right here at home, and children often become the victims of the crime.
And for the past week, we have shown you a series of stories called Selling Girls, exposing the underground multi-billion-dollar sex trafficking industry. And tonight, we're going to focus in on what's happening right here at home.
Channel 2's Michael Wooten has tonight's Two on Your Side original investigation.
Sex trafficking is the world's fastest growing crime.
This really can happen to anyone who's vulnerable.
4.5 million victims around the globe, many of them young people, sold for sex. And if you think it's a problem that happens somewhere else,
Definitely not. I struggled for 10 years.
this woman from the South Towns is proof it hits close to home. She asked that we not identify her. She told us how she was raped at a young age, and her trafficker took advantage of that.
How would you describe him?
Very vicious, manipulative, invasive.
She was one of 5 girls forced by this man to work as prostitutes right here in Buffalo. His criminal enterprise stretched from here to New York City, Harrisburg, PA, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and Cleveland. His youngest victim was only 15.
Just overall an evil person.
These guys are psychopaths.
And there are more of them out there than you would want to believe.
How do you quantify the problem of human trafficking in Western New York?
The only true statistics I can give you are the numbers that we collect ourselves of survivors identified and served. And we absolutely do not believe that that's indicative of what's out there.
Here's what we know. Last year, the Western New York Human Trafficking Task Force identified 96 potential victims here locally. Almost all were trafficked for sex, and 60 of the victims were children.
The number is horrifying. I think this is still an issue that people think happens somewhere else.
Right, right. So the majority of cases involving minors involved minors that were born, groomed, and trafficked here in Western New York. So Grand Island, Amherst, West Seneca, East Aurora, and I think that people are very surprised.
Do people realize, you think, that this is happening here?
No, I don't think so.
Special Agent Peter Orchard with the Buffalo FBI leads a squad that's currently investigating more than 100 open cases involving the exploitation of children.
The pimp really doesn't care how old they are. In my opinion, they're the worst of the worst. They're just psychopathic killers, and that girl's not a girl. She's a piece of meat.
She's a possession.
She's a possession. She's a product. All right, just like he was selling drugs or anything else. She's a product.
Special Agent Orchard addressed the common belief that many prostitutes choose that life. He says often they have no choice at all.
The pimp has controlled every single aspect of their life. Takes their phone, takes their ID, takes all their money. They don't follow the rules, he'll beat her. All right. If she tries to run away, he may kill her.
Was there ever a point where you never thought you would survive it?
There is a point where, like, I basically thought that this was just going to be my life. This is who I am. This is what it's going to be like for the rest of my life.
And at times, she feared the worst.
One of them had, like, a gun to me, and I honestly thought that I was going to die.
She was involved in prostitution for almost a decade. FBI stats show on average she should have been dead after 7 years.
Although she didn't go before the grand jury, her trafficker was indicted on charges here at the Buffalo Federal Courthouse. He eventually pleaded guilty and got 13 years in federal prison. At the sentencing, the judge said he used violence, force, intimidation, and psychological control to force women into sexual servitude. And as bad as that sounds, Special Agent Orchard says he's seen far worse.
He's a bad guy, but that's about average that we see, some of the stuff that he had done.
Do you block those old memories?
I try to. I actually take medication for night terrors, PTSD.
She survived and got help, and that's the message. Help is available.
Each day we're open, they can get a warm meal.
This is the Enrichment Center at PATH, People Against Trafficking Humans. The facility on Delaware Avenue in Buffalo offers victims a safe place to get free services. ranging from counseling to clothing and referrals for shelter and medical care. The International Institute has also worked with survivors, the youngest only 9, the oldest 83.
We know survivors have kept themselves alive a very long time without us. We just want to be able to offer them some support, some referrals for medical doctors that we work with, mental health professionals, shelters. We will believe you and we will help you, no questions asked.
The survivor who spoke with us got that support last year.
March 25th, 2016.
You know the date?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It was a day that everything in my life pretty much changed.
She's a success story, now attending community college with the goal of becoming a mental health and substance abuse counselor.
Hoping to help others.
Yes.
Using the experiences that you've had.
If I can just help one person, I feel like my destiny is fulfilled.
What would be your message?
Basically that there's a way out, you can get help, that things are better on the other side.
You're proof of that.
I definitely am. Your life can change.
Sadly, Special Agent Orchard told me that success story we just heard is extremely rare, and that is why his focus is so much on prevention. FBI agents and their partners go into schools to talk to kids and also their parents to try to prevent all of this. The task force that we talked about there also is growing, and there have been some changes in how law enforcement here locally approach this problem. That's the focus of our story tomorrow night here at 6 o'clock. But before we end here, I want to remind you about the number that you see behind me here. It is the trafficking hotline that you can call if you're a victim or if you just see something they want you to say something. It's available 24/7, and we also have that number posted on our website and app. And in tomorrow's story, guys, we're also going to talk more about those warning signs and what the public can do to fight back against this. I was stunned when I saw those numbers.
Very eye-opening for a lot of us here. How did the victim in your story, how did she escape this?
She credited her family with helping her, but also she was put in the human trafficking court in the city of Buffalo. And so she got help there, and they put her in touch with some services, and they were able over time to get her out of that situation.
Not easy.
There's so much fear, but this is a safe place for them to go. So many victims fear that police will be called immediately and that they'll be in danger, but they know what they're doing when they're helping these women and men out.
Absolutely. There are so many support services, and law enforcement are really treating this differently than they did a long time ago. They recognize that these people don't want this life. They are forced into it, and the traffickers are so good at what they do, and that's the real scary part.
All right, Michael Wooten, fascinating story, Michael. Thank you. Appreciate it.
When he met this week with executives from American pharmaceutical companies, President Trump let them know what he thought about the rapidly rising cost of their medications.
We have to get prices down for a lot of reasons. We have no choice.
But while the administration works on that, you can do something now. Like head to Canada, where prescriptions are staggeringly cheaper.
Okay. Thank you, sweetie.
Gerard Longval, a pharmacist in Canada for 30 years, says the reason why drugs cost less here is because of their nation's universal healthcare system.
Every pharmacy has the same prices, so it's not bulk buying or anything. The government has dictated to us what price we're allowed to charge.
To give you an idea how much money can be saved buying medications in Canada, Longval helped us compare some prices.
Let's start with an older one, tetracycline.
Tetracycline? Yeah. So 250 milligrams, 100 of them is $18.62.
Or $14.28 US.
Lowest price we could find in Buffalo was $304.07.
Wow. Yeah. Humira, and that comes like in a pen.
An injection, yeah.
Right.
For 2 of them is $1,798.
Wow. That turns into $1380.32 on the U.S. side, almost $4,200.
42. Wow.
Right. Advair?
Advair or one discus is $124.06.
Is $95.24 U.S.
Right.
Full retail on the U.S. side is $350.
So how do you get access to these low prices at Canadian pharmacies?
What we need is a prescription authorized by an Ontario licensed physician.
It turns out that's not hard to do.
How you doing, dear?
Dr. Hugh Mitchell operates a walk-in clinic in Fort Erie. It's first come, first served, and the traffic here is steady and heavy.
We see a few, but it's the nature of the clinic.
On the day we visited, Dr. Mitchell saw 100 patients, most Canadians. Occasionally, there are Americans.
I probably get at least one inquiry a week.
And the Americans who do show up here are often looking for what this woman got, a script.
Here's your prescription. Take care. Bye, Les.
You should know that Dr. Mitchell won't write prescriptions for opiates or any psychotropic meds. And any American who shows up at his office gets a full exam before any discussion of any prescription.
I have to have some proof.
What is sufficient proof for you that
A prescription from a legitimate physician in the States, or documentation that this is what they're on.
that include an empty pill vial?
If they have their name on it, yeah, because sometimes people will come, they'll be traveling and they run out of medication, so they bring their prescription bottles, and that's.
And Mitchell is not the only Fort Erie doctor helping Americans get access to cheaper Canadian drugs. Inside this building, doctors with the Fort Erie Family Group practice also see Americans seeking Canadian prescriptions.
Now, if you're worried about coming back into the United States with Canadian prescription drugs, don't be. It's perfectly legal.
If they're purchased in Canada, you have a prescription for them, and they're approved by the Food and Drug Administration, then you can bring it back into this country.
A 90-day supply is typically the maximum amount of any drug allowed back in. Importing medication for resale, that is not allowed. And a reminder, always, when returning from Canada.
Anytime you purchase anything abroad, whether it's a cover for your car, a chair, or pharmaceuticals, you should declare them.
Now, here's another tip. If you do purchase pharmaceutical products over in Canada, please leave them in their original packaging and even in the bag that you got them from the pharmacy. That'll make things going through customs a lot easier. Now, if you're sitting at home and wondering, how do I do this? Well, we have some answers for you. Go to WGRZ.com, pull up this story, Accessing the Canadian Remedy. It is literally a how-to and an if-to. If this is going to fit for you and work for you, and how you can do it if you think it might. If you have continuing questions, we are now on Facebook Live on our WGRZ Facebook page. I'll be on for a while answering questions that you may have about this, but it is an opportunity in the right situation. If folks have high deductibles or low prescription payments or coverage, it's possible that you could save hundreds, even thousands, by going to Canada. Scott and Mary Alice?
It's really not much of an inconvenience at all, just right over the Peace Bridge.
It is. It is as easy as that. A stop at a doctor's office, wait in line to go see the doctor, and go to the pharmacy, pick up your prescription, come back home.
It's amazing. It almost sounds too good to be true, but we're glad you checked it out for us, and it's all perfectly legal.
It is. It's perfectly legal. You can't bring back more than what you're personally going to use,
right.
But it's perfectly legal.
We'll see you on Facebook Live, Steve.
All right. Thank you.
Well, it has been a wild weather day in western New York. A suspected tornado ripped through the region, the hardest hit areas in the South towns. Take a look at all the incredible pictures and video you've been sending us all day. Down trees, power lines, and debris scattered pretty much everywhere.
The storm was so strong it even lifted a car off the ground. Check it out. The security camera video was shared with us by Kevin Karras in Hamburg. Wow, you see the wind pick it up and the trailer and slam it down. Things were so bad in Hamburg, the town has declared a state of emergency.
And take a look at this drone video we shot over the fairgrounds, one of the areas that was hit hardest by this severe weather. This video shows just how serious the damage is there. You know, tornadoes, if this was in fact one, are pretty rare here in western New York, but now the cleanup efforts are underway. Good evening, I'm Adam Bonini.
And I'm Mary Alice Demler. Governor Cuomo is on his way to the fairgrounds right now to survey the damage. He's expected to hold a news conference at 6:30. We will stream it for you live online at WGRZ.com.
But let's start our team coverage with Claudine Ewing. She joins us live from the fairgrounds with more tonight. Claudine.
It has been quite a day here at the Hamburg Fairgrounds. I can tell you when we first drove up to the fairgrounds, what we saw were cars with windows missing. And then we got here. Look at this just behind me. That's a picnic table, and it is on top of a building.
Scary. I've never experienced it. I just pulled in the lower gate on McKinley, and I saw the black clouds start to spin, and there's everything just kind of raised up.
That's how the Hamburg Fairgrounds CEO described what was unfolding around 12:30. Over 3,000 people were on the grounds, many at the gaming center.
I went to the casino because they had free drawings today, and I had just won $60 on the wheel. And I was right in the center of the casino. All of a sudden I heard this thunderous noise up on the roof, which I knew was a super heavy downpour. The next thing I know, I looked through the casino lane to the main doors, and the doors were flapping open and closed. And this tremendous rain at a powerful rate was just flying through the doors.
At first I thought it was some effect from some wheel they were spinning, but it got so bad and loud, it got scary, and I kept trying to ask people if they knew what was going on, and everybody looked puzzled.
The East Grandstand lost a roof. The announcer stand for the racetrack gone. Old, large trees lifted up from the ground. Debris everywhere. Permanent structures were damaged. Picnic tables look like piles of trash at a curb.
A bench that we have lift up into the air. I ran to the back of the smoking area because we couldn't get out, and that's what freaked me out because I didn't have an escape. And then when we got outside to access our cars, I have 3 windows busted out and my windshield, and I literally just got this car about 3 months ago.
Most of the cars in various lots were damaged.
Our employees' vehicles behind the grandstand have been damaged. There's probably 20 to 25 of those. And I'm going to guess here that there might be 150 to 200 cars that have some damage out here behind the gaming center.
And this is the building that's normally used by the Erie County Sheriff's Department here on the fairgrounds, where it didn't really sustain much damage, but it's what's outside and what's on the roof that definitely did. And when we were talking about and showing all of those cars with all of those windows blown out, really it was the pressure. There was a lot of debris that would have knocked some of those windows out, but really some type of barometric pressure that really probably caused a lot of that damage. I also asked whether or not the gaming center, because that's where the majority of the people were on the fairgrounds, I'm told that that is expected to reopen tomorrow at 8 a.m. Reporting live, Claudine Ewing, Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Claudine. Let's check in now with Storm Team 2's Kevin O'Connell, who is in the Weather Center tonight with a recap of what exactly happened today, Kevin. And it started earlier.
It was just kind of a normal Thursday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not true.
Yeah, it started very early, and I have to give a little pat on the back to my man, Pat, because Pat Hammer did talk this morning during daybreak and even yesterday that a tornado is not out of the question with the environment. We were looking at a lot of models, and it just looked like the atmosphere might be juicy enough for it. So he gets a star by his name, no doubt about it. Yeah, we had a tornado here in 2006, if you can remember that. Now, we don't have the official word if this was a tornado. I expect the report to be filed in the next couple of hours by Judy Levin of the Weather Service. It could either be, I think, either an EFO, which would be winds between 40 and, let's say, 72 miles an hour, or an EF1 on that scale. That would put the winds between 73 and 112 miles an hour. So we will find out later if, in fact, it was a tornado. In the meantime, let's go back to 11 o'clock this morning. That's when this loop will begin. Here comes round 1 of the rain in Niagara County through parts of Erie County, and then that second round with all that lightning came barreling through. We only picked up a little more than 1.25 inches of rain in Buffalo, but we did it in like 90 minutes. A lot was last week, if you'll recall. And I think that may be one of the reasons that we had all of those huge trees kind of topple over by their root system, because the soil was so saturated, it was almost like pudding. Well, we can look tonight for those temperatures to go back to the mid-70s for a while, start tomorrow in the 60s, and tomorrow it's going to be a cleanup day for a lot of Western New Yorkers, and a lot of us will be enjoying some beautiful sunshine. Mary Alice, I can tell you one thing, we're going to be having some beautiful weather tomorrow. I'll talk about the weekend and the full 7-day forecast when I see you in just about 12 minutes.
Looking forward to some quiet weather. Thank you, Kevin. Well, there are still a lot of Western New Yorkers without power tonight, about 15,000 at last count.
It was down from over 20,000 earlier today. Utility companies are working to restore that power, continuing to. Our team coverage now continues with Heather Lee, who's live at Orchard Park with more damage there. And Heather, they got hit pretty hard, didn't they?
Hey there, guys. Good evening. If you were to draw a diagonal line starting at the fairgrounds and then heading southeast towards Chestnut Ridge, I am right in the middle of that. I'm on South Abbott Road here, basically on the border of the town of Hamburg and the town of Orchard Park. And people who live along South Abbott, they say the strongest winds earlier today lasted less than a minute if they had to guess. But really, that is all it took to uproot huge trees, take down plenty of power lines, and also toss around lawn furniture. One of the homeowners I talked to earlier today, Jim Owens, he said he lost 8 trees. Those were the ones that were completely uprooted. Many more were damaged. He says his grandkids had a trampoline on his property. That is now bent into a pretzel in the woods behind his house. He says he has no clue where their bounce house is, and he and a neighbor describe exactly what they saw and heard earlier today.
Big mess. It came through like they say, a freight train, and just dark and rain. And I was looking out the window and just everything started coming right out of the ground.
It just so happened where my truck was parked, there was a tree on the right side of me and a tree on the left side of me, just a little bit back. I'm sitting in my truck, both of them sheared right off next to me while I was sitting in the truck.
He said all he could do was buckle up his seatbelt and hold onto the steering wheel tight and hope that everything would pass over quickly. Again, it did. They guessed that it lasted a minute or less, but by that time, the damage was already done. Now, one of the homeowners, again, that you just heard from there, Jim, he joked with me, actually, as I was walking up to his house earlier today. He asked me if I had any interest in a slightly used tree, pointing to one that was completely uprooted from the ground. I, of course, had to ask him, how is he laughing through all of this? He says, basically, that's all I can do right now is laugh, be thankful that nobody was hurt, be thankful that he's got insurance, and again, just get to work. He said the laughing actually helps them through this time. But again, speaking of work, they are going to have quite the mess here along South Abbott Road, other parts of Orchard Park as well. They expect to continue their work into tonight and also into tomorrow. So they're probably plenty happy that Kevin says tomorrow is going to be a nice day. They are certainly going to need it. Mary Alice, Adam, back inside to you.
All right, thank you. So many incredible images from today. And take a look at this video that was taken from the Waterstone Grill in Hamburg. You can see the wind was so strong, it carried a tree through the parking lot. Part of the restaurant's roof also blew off. And a worker told us it all happened very fast.
I was at the doors and they started opening and closing and the rain started going everywhere, and then trees started falling down, and next thing I know, it was over, and our roof to our patio was way across the thruway.
Fortunately, no one inside the restaurant was hurt, which is, of course, one of the big storylines from today. We continue our team coverage now with Steve Brown, who's live at Orchard Park tonight with more on the damage in that area. Steve.
Good evening, Adam. Just down the road, and this is Newton Road, by the way, just down the road, you can see a bunch of yellow-colored vehicles. Those are from the Erie County Highway Department. Busy day for them, because if they're not making sure the roads are clear, then repair crews for all the utility companies trying to restore power, they can't get at their job. So they've been there for a couple of minutes. I'm sure they're going to have an assignment soon based on how much damage we've been seeing throughout the day. Earlier in the day, Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz said from Chestnut Ridge Park, which is on the other side of the 219 you see there, you could see the path of this particular storm. Well, on our way to Chestnut Ridge Park to see that path, we noticed that the path was pretty much up and down Newton Road here in Orchard Park. You see one snapped off tree over there, but you can also see a lot more damage in and along inside the tree line down this way. Take a look at that tree about 50 feet from the damaged barn. That's about a foot thick, and that's just snapped off at about 20 feet up in the air. The roots are, the roots are strong enough to hold the tree, but the tree wasn't strong enough to withstand the wind. A little further closer, you can see that the couple of trees went down. That's where we're told by family members that a tree came down, damaged a portion of the roof. No one injured, which is the common theme in our storm coverage so far today, but they've cleaned it up. And again, you can see another tree at the driveway, another one snapped off at the base. You'll see this all the way down Newton Road, a number of trees either snapped off at 10, 15, 20 feet up or pulled right up with the roots right out of the road. This appears to be a path that the storm did take, and earlier today we did see a helicopter from the Erie County Sheriff's Department kind of taking a look and seeing whether or not we think they were following the right path that the storm took. It'll be interesting to find out if they were kind of scouting for the folks from the National Weather Service a little bit later on today and tomorrow. That's the story here from Orchard Park. Steve Brown, Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Steve. And so many of you have been sending incredible pictures and video of today's storm.
We've been sharing them all day long as part of our coverage, and our Michael Wooten joins us now with more. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Adam and Mary Alice. Yeah, a couple of new videos here I want to share with you. This first video is from Bob Laskowski, who sent this in to us just a short time ago. He took this video at Town Jeep on Camp Road down in Hamburg, and sometimes the contrast isn't the best. This is taken with a cell phone. But if you look carefully here, you can see the clouds start to form. It becomes vertical at one point here, and it does appear as if this maybe touches the ground in just a few more seconds. Heather Waldman and I were watching this at my computer, and when you look really closely at it, it does appear as if this may have been a tornado touchdown. I've posted this, by the way, on my Twitter and Facebook page if you want to see another look at it. We'll move on here. We got another video Julie Spalding sent to us. We'll advance on. She was driving from Arcade to Java, and if you press the space bar, I think we'll advance this on. If the control room can hear there. All right, well, it's not working, unfortunately, so we'll keep looking at this video here. We also got a video from Arcade to Java. Julie Spalding was driving. She wasn't driving, she was in the passenger seat and took a video out her window, and it also appeared as if the tornado touched down at that point. Again, this, a little bit of evidence as to whether or not we actually had a touchdown. And also, guys, we've shared out the video, the drone footage on our 2 on Your Side Facebook page. Real quick, this is the video that Julie took.
Oh, yeah, right.
You can see the cloud formation right there. Appears to touch the ground just beyond what we're able to see with the horizon there. Pretty clear shot here. This is posted on our Facebook and Twitter accounts. That's probably the only evidence you need right there. That pretty much looks like to be a confirmed touchdown. And then it kind of wanders back and forth. Anyway, we have this posted. Hashtag #BeOn2 is how you can share more of your damage photos and videos with us, so we can share those with the rest of Western New York. Mary Alice?
All righty, a lot of telling video for the National Weather Service to use in their assessment. Thank you, Michael.
You bet.
And the other big story that we're following for you tonight, O.J. Simpson is granted parole. And up next, we've got reaction from a local attorney. Danny.
Governor Cuomo is expected here at the Hamburg Fairgrounds in about 15 or 20 minutes. We'll have a live report coming up.
We are back with an update on the other big story that we're following tonight. As most legal analysts expected, former Bills running back O.J. Simpson will soon be a free man.
Simpson has been in prison for nearly 9 years for his role in an armed robbery at a Las Vegas hotel. The hearing lasted more than an hour, and while talking with the panel, Simpson wasn't very remorseful for his role in the crime, but he did refer to his family and what he described as a renewed commitment to his Christian faith. Simpson's daughter, as well as one of the victims of the armed robbery, spoke on Simpson's behalf. The board eventually granted his release. October 1st is the earliest he could be released.
Well, most legal analysts agree it's no surprise that Simpson was granted release.
We watched the entire hearing and the decision with Wyoming County Public Defender Norman Effman. He explained how Simpson's murder trial back in the 90s had no impact on today's decision.
The board, I think, did what it had to do. There's an acquittal here. They cannot consider the actions of O.J. vis-a-vis his wife and Ron Goldman as being relevant to whether he is a risk to the community, because there's no legal basis for that conclusion.
And our coverage continues online at WGRZ.com. Nightly news with Lester Holt. We'll also have much more on this story coming up at 6:30.
And we want to continue our coverage of the suspected tornado that ripped through parts of the area today. The Hamburg Fairgrounds, one of the area's hardest hit. A number of cars in the parking lot were damaged. There were blown out windows, down trees, and debris, as you can see, everywhere.
And Governor Cuomo is going to hold a news conference at the fairgrounds at 6:30. Our Danny Spiewak joins us live from the fairgrounds right now with more. Danny?
Mary Alice and Adam, Governor Cuomo should be here any minute. We've already seen County Executive Mark Poloncarz arrive back on scene. A couple of state lawmakers who represent this area are here as well, and they're getting their first look at the damage, touring some of the debris that we've seen for the past 5 or 6 hours, picnic tables that are everywhere, tents that have been thrown everywhere, and we have some video for you as well. One of the things we haven't shown you yet throughout the newscast tonight is the grandstands here at the Raceway. Took some significant damage and took a huge hit earlier when that storm rolled through. There were workers that have been working on the Raceway Fairgrounds, on the Raceway grandstands for a while now. This is going to be a huge setback for them. Luckily, they weren't working at the time of the storm. That's why there weren't any injuries. So that's good news. In terms of the casino here, Hamburg Gaming, that is at the fairground site, they had 150 people that had to take shelter today. We have some drone video that we can show you that shows kind of the aerial view of the grandstands and the casino and really all of the fairgrounds. They had a gas line that was hit during the storm. They had to shut off power. They also have a lot of window damage to a lot of cars here in the parking lot. They are hoping to reopen tomorrow morning, so that is good news for the casino. But we're really just waiting for Governor Cuomo to get here. He was supposed to be here about 4 o'clock originally, and now that's been pushed back to about 6:30. But we believe he should be here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. And so a lot of other public officials and elected officials are here as well right now, getting a look at this damage here at the fairgrounds. Reporting live in Hamburg, Danny Spiewak, Channel 2 News.
All right, Danny, thanks very much. And again, Governor Cuomo's press conference tentatively scheduled for 6:30 or just after. As Danny said, we'll be streaming that live for you at WGRZ.com.
You know, we are really grateful that so many folks with their smartphones were instant weather spotters for us today, and actually video journalists sharing with us all the things that they were seeing. It's going to make it a lot easier, I think, for the National Weather Service to come up with a confirmed determination of whether it was a tornado.
I think that social media thing's got a future.
I think you might be right.
I'm just kind of guessing on that one. By the way, we don't have the official word, as Mary Alice alluded to, but within the next couple of hours, the report on what the observations were by Judy Levin, who's the lead forecaster out at the Weather Service. She's going to file a report, and that will determine what we had. There's a pretty good chance we had an EF0 or an EF1 tornado in any event out in that part of the area. One thing I want to do before I get to the forecast, there was a gentleman who Heather Lee spoke to, and he was in his house. And he was a little emotional about the situation today, saying, I'm sitting there and I'm watching this tornado coming at me, and I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. You know what? That's very telling, because I think lots of us don't know what to do, where to go, what to tell our kids, what to do with the family. So what we did, we put safety tips at WGRZ.com just for you. I suggest you print them up, slap them on the refrigerator like you do all the other notes you don't want to forget, and it's there in case you need it, and this rare occasion could happen again. Last time it did was 2006, so it's not going to be anytime soon, I don't think. But it's always good to have those helpful tips. Why don't you print those up free of charge from your Storm Team 2 friends here at Channel 2. 80 tomorrow and 82 on Saturday. I'm going to move the raindrop to the afternoon. I'm going to keep it in the southern tier. Hopefully that'll make your plans a little bit nicer. 78 degrees, and here we go into the 70s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday with a chance of some showers each day. Because the air is now drying out, temperatures are going up. 71 last hour. We're at 75 right now. Still in the 80s for Bradford and Jamestown and down in Erie. The winds have picked up a little bit, up to 10 miles an hour here in Buffalo, 8 in the Falls, and you can see double digits across the southern tier. They're not really significant in terms of any weather. The big picture, well, here was what it looked like at 11 o'clock this morning, and we just watched those storms just traverse across the area. Heaviest hit areas, obviously, our friends there in Hamburg, right around the racetrack, and certainly over in West Falls as well. A lot of power outages. Well, you can see that thunder and lightning moving down into Pennsylvania. High pressure is coming our way, and you know what that means. Yeah, we got cloudy skies now, but they'll clear out overnight. Temperatures will go from the mid-70s to the upper 60s over the next 12 hours. We'll start tomorrow again in the 60s and work our way to the low and mid-80s with plenty of good old sunshine. So get out there, get some of that vitamin D. 80 degrees with a west wind, 10 to 15 miles per hour coming our way tomorrow. We're going to be looking for our Saturday to have a chance of some showers, but I want to get to future look because this will time out when and where that rain will occur. Here we are during the overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning, the commute will be a cloudy one, not a rainy one. Skies will start to clear by mid-morning. Stay that way during the afternoon. Here we are into Saturday now. Got an early tea time? No problem, but it looks like the rain showers at about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon will be skirting down across parts of Chautauqua, Cattaraugus County, maybe even a clap or two of thunder, but again, it will stay away from the metro area. 7-day forecast, a lot going on this weekend. We've got the Canal Fest, and certainly we've got the beautiful Kenton Garden Walk. 70-degree readings from Sunday right on through Wednesday. And if you need a forecast update, turn to the #1 weather team in Western New York, Storm Team 2 at WGRZ.com or WeatherLink at 852-2222. Stay right there. We've got your sports coming up right here in just 2 minutes.
Mary Alice, you mentioned this last segment, but it certainly bears repeating. We would not have been able to tell the story of today's weather the way we did without your pictures. Thank you to all of you who have been sharing your photos and videos. You can keep them coming by using the hashtag #BeOn2.
So thank you for joining us for Channel 2 News at 6. Our coverage continues online at WGRZ.com. You can also watch the governor's news conference. That's going to be live right around 6:30 on our website.
And we're going to leave you with more drone video of the Hamburg Fairgrounds, where the cleanup is now underway. Thank you for joining us for our extended coverage this afternoon and this evening.